Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Sports Today. The world of sport is such a thing that it never really sleeps. There's always something or the other happening in the world, even when you and I are actually catching up on what should be told some very necessary rest to get through our days. And such has been the case now that the Asian Games is going on, that you're having a lot of events take place early in the morning at a time when most of us aren't actually, up and about, or we're just about getting ready to start our days. So in today's edition of the Morning Wrap, we'll go through some of the usual news bits that we tend to, but there's also going to be a major focus on some of the events that have taken place in the Asian Games, where unfortunately today there hasn't been much action when it comes to medal events yet, and the few medal events that took place, India unfortunately missed out on. What those are and how exactly did they miss out on that, we'll get to that in just a bit. Let's get started though with today's edition of the Morning Wrap. And we're starting with some, we're starting with some interesting news that this man, AB de Villiers, has been saying, or let's say speculating about one of his best friends in the cricketing world, and that is Virat Kohli. Now, it's a well-known fact that both of them have ended up sharing a very, very good friendship over the years. But there is also, of course, plenty of talk when it comes to them, how it is that they acknowledge each other in public. And AB recently actually ended up sparking a bit of speculation as to when exactly it is that he thinks Virat Kohli may finally announce his the one thing which a lot of fans are dreading, retirement. According to AB, he said that he would love to see Virat play the next edition of the ODI World Cup, which is of course set to be co-hosted by South Africa. And de Villiers in his YouTube channel revealed that Kohli enjoyed coming to South Africa last few times that he's been there, but also that he thinks that if India win the 2023 ODI World Cup, then Kohli might just say goodbye to the game, or at least the ODI side of things, and then maybe just play Test cricket, a little bit of IPL, and thereafter wind up his career once and for all. It's an interesting take, and one that many people have been saying, not just about Kohli, but even someone like a Rohit Sharma, who we know is definitely getting up there in terms of years, even though he remains a sharp batter. But father time is such a thing that it can catch up to you at any given moment. But what do you think? Do you agree with, let's say, what it is that, AB said? Do you think Kohli will go on even if India end up winning that? You can let us know that. You can drop, your thoughts on that in the comments. But for now, let's continue on with, let's say, what all has been happening in the world of cricket. And we've got a very good update for you regarding one Kane Williamson, probably one of everyone's favorite cricketers, a true gentleman of the game, and someone who until a few months back was probably not likely to be making the ICC World Cup due to an injury that he had sustained in the start of the IPL season when he was turning out for the Gujarat Titans. The good news is that he is working his way back into fitness, although it's very much touch and go. But as things stand, Kane Williamson is targeting a return to fitness once the World Cup gets underway. And you remember that the first match of the tournament, which is of course England versus New Zealand in a rematch of that very, very heated final that took place in 2019, that is the return date that Kane Williamson is targeting. He wants to be fit and match ready by the time the World Cup gets underway and in time for New Zealand's opening fixture. He did reveal that it's a bit unfortunate that he hasn't been able to work his way into fitness sooner, but the nature of the injury was such that it was always going to be touch and go. And you remember that New Zealand have in fact been playing some cricket recently. They will be winding up, they were playing against England beforehand. Now currently they're in Bangladesh. So it would have been good, Williamson admitted, if he could play those games, but such is the nature of his fitness, and that's how touch and go things are, that the best case scenario for him would be targeting a return in the opening game of the World Cup. How is it he fares in that match? We don't really know, because it's been months since Kane has played any kind of competitive cricket. But you'd hope, if you're a New Zealand fan, that this is something that can happen. Sticking with cricket news for now, and Ravichandran Ashwin recently has been making waves for the wonderful bowling performance that he put in during the second ODI between India and Australia. And one ball in particular that ended up leaving a lot of people, including the batter, bamboozled, was the ball that he bowled to Marnus Labuschagne that ended up getting him dismissed. It was a reverse carom ball of sorts, whereby he bowls the carom ball, but normally if you're a right-hander bowling the carom ball, it will spin away from the right-hander. But this one basically worked exactly like an off spinner, and therefore a lot of people were looking at that and going, whoa, where did he get this new variation from? Now, according to Ashwin, in an interview that was put up on the BCCI social media and their website, he said that in his recent comeback trail, which included him putting in a lot of work in the NCA, he actually did work on that ball for 3-4 days straight, constantly practicing it, looking to get it right enough that it would actually leave anyone, let's say, unable to pick it, even if they were doing it off the hand, which, by the way, between you and me, I don't think Labuschagne was doing. He was trying to read it off the pitch rather than off the hand, and that was probably part of his undoing. If he was reading it from the hand, maybe he would have had a better chance picking it, but given it was a reverse carom ball, and given that Ashwin himself admits it took him a lot of time to properly work on it, maybe not. Anyway, switching our focus now to the Asian Games, as I had promised, and as I said, plenty of action early on in the day. There was a equestrian action where India were part of a medal event. Unfortunately, nothing came from that, and it wasn't even a close fight, but there were a few other things that were taking place in the world, and we'll start off with hockey, whereby India continued their absolute tear that they've been going through in the opening parts of this edition of the Asian Games. They started their campaign with a 16-0 victory against Uzbekistan, who, of course, it is worth noting, are pretty much minnows in the sport of hockey, and they continued that, scoring 16 goals once again against Singapore, albeit conceding one, which they probably wouldn't have found ideal, but given the fact that their goal difference right now would be 31, probably not that too bothered either. They'll next be taking on Japan, who are, of course, the defending champions, someone who it would be, I would say, would be a real test of how far it is that India could potentially go, because if they can get a big result against Japan, that's a massive positive. A loss, however, will show you that there is still plenty of work to be done with this hockey team, and it is worth noting that even in this match against Singapore, there were a few of the old failings that the Indian team, let's say, have been doing for quite some time. One of them being a lack of penetration from penalty corners. Now, Singapore was so porous that it didn't really matter that India couldn't really convert their penalty corners that well, but against bigger sides, you need to be converting your drag flicks, otherwise you're only going to be asking for trouble. That has actually been India's undoing in the past, coupled with the fact that teams like Australia and Belgium and Holland are actually much better at their penalty corners, and let's say that's an issue that is still plaguing India. Hopefully it is something that they can do better at in that match against Japan. Switching our focus now to the world of fencing, Bhavani Devi unfortunately was this close to getting a guaranteed medal but ended up missing out. Now, Bhavani Devi was in action in the quarterfinals or in the round of 16, which she got through very, very comfortably. However, in the quarterfinals, she was up against the silver medalist from the previous edition of the Games from China, and well, she ended up losing the match, which means that no hopes from her getting a medal from Bhavani Devi, which is a bit of a shame considering that Bhavani Devi is, of course, someone who many had high hopes from a medal for. It wasn't that close a victory either for the Chinese athlete, which does make it all the more heartbreaking, but you can just say good attempt and move forward from there. Unfortunately, if she had made it to the semi-finals, then medal guaranteed, because that's how it works. If you make it to the semis, the losing semi-finalists are the ones who get the bronze medal. Unfortunately, not really the case in this time, but she will probably live to fight another day and hopefully come back stronger. There was more heartbreak when you're talking about bronze medals, and this time in the mixed team 10-meter air rifle competition, when Divyan Singh Pawar and Ramita Jindal ended up falling short by 2 points to the South Korean team. Now, to be fair, the South Korean team were very much expected to be, the favorites going into this match, and they did in fact end up living up to that billing. But it was a mighty, mighty close affair. It wasn't, let's say, a one-sided loss for the Indian pair. In fact, at one point they were leading. At one point in the match they were actually ahead. So it was only a late slip up that ended up allowing the South Koreans to, let's say, get ahead. But that is just the nature of elite sport. It always is about finest margins, especially in sports like shooting, because you remember yesterday the men's team that ended up getting, the men's 4 team that ended up getting the medal, they broke India's national record for qualification in that particular event, but the difference was just 0.4. So it doesn't take much. In this case, it was just 2 points that separated the two teams, but finer margins. You'd hope that these two youngsters can actually learn from this. Don't forget, both of them have already been part of medal winning teams for India in this edition of the Games. Learn from this and come back stronger in the future. Some good news from the Asian Games, and this time from the world of tennis. Ankita Raina was in action earlier today in her round of 16 match, and she won that with, well, let's say consummate ease. Again, as I said, the competition levels in the Asian Games are not necessarily the highest, because more often than not, the best tennis players are concentrated in places like Europe and the Americas. So the competition level isn't very high, but hey, you'll take winning a medal for your nation, even if it means steamrolling through lower level opposition. And Ankita Raina won it pretty comfortably, straight sets, very easy. She barely had to break a sweat, and she's now through to the quarterfinals. One more win and she could very well be in medal contention, because again, win the semi and you're guaranteed a medal, either a silver or a gold. Lose the semi, you still have a chance, because there will be a third place playoff, as is the norm in racket sports. Last bit of news, and this one is about potentially getting a medal later in the day. Tulika Mann, India's let's say judo athlete, she was in action in the repechage round. Now, she had obviously lost out on a chance for winning gold, silver. That's why she was in the repechage, but she won her repechage bout, and now later on in the day will be in the bronze medal match. So if she wins that, then she too is bringing a medal. Remember, for India, the target this time is that they want 100 medals from the contingent that they have sent. So 100 medals, of course, is something that has never really been done for India, but that is, of course, the target that has been publicly spoken about, to the point that it's even made it into ad campaigns and good luck wishes for the team. And Tulika Mann is now just one step away from bringing home a bronze medal in the sport of judo. We wish her all the best. Of course, when it happens or when it doesn't happen, whichever which way it happens, you'll be able to catch all of that news and all of the updates on that from Sports Today. This brings an end to this edition of the Morning Wrap, but thank you guys so much for joining us. If you enjoy our work, please don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tap that bell, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Don't forget to download the AajTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go right ahead and check out some other videos we've done, and stay tuned to Sports Today throughout the day, because we'll bring you all of the happenings, not just from the Asian Games, but the world of sport as a whole. From now though, from my side, it is bye-bye.